In 1680, when the first Catholic missionary arrived, southern Minnesota was a place unrecognizable to people today. It was inhabited by the American Indian people who lived in freedom. For this reason, the first church in Minnesota was not only a church for white settlers, but a missionary church. Father Joseph Creighton and Father Augustin Ravoux were the founders of this missionary church and lived out their ministerial responsibilities with tremendous courage and commitment. Father Ravoux learned the language of the Eastern Dakota and was able to minister to the people by translating basic church teachings and a traditional catechism, as well as other writings into their language. His relationship with the American Indian people was strong, and his work had a lasting impact. Soon, new dioceses in Minnesota and the Dakotas, including the Diocese of Winona, were formed to minister to the growing needs of their people. The Diocese of Winona was created in 1889. At the time, Winona was the gate city to southern Minnesota and exerted substantial commercial, political, and social influence over a broad area. Under Archbishop Ireland's guidance, Father Joseph Cotter was chosen to be the bishop of this new diocese. Time would show that his knowledge and recognition of the people's needs earned their loyalty and trust. With strong leadership and a promising future, the Diocese of Winona began. Just as missionary priests were present in Minnesota prior to the establishment of the diocese, so were some religious orders. The School Sisters of Notre Dame have been working in the diocese since 1865. They were given a prominent place in the celebration of the new diocese in 1890 and enjoyed a good relationship with Bishop Cotter. Their mother house was established in Mankato, and their sisters have had a significant pastoral presence throughout our diocesan history. The Rochester Franciscans, established in 1877, also have had a strong presence in the diocese. They were most known for their work in healthcare and education. By 1894, they had established Our Lady of Lourdes Academy in Rochester, and later opened another academy in the rapidly growing city of Winona, which would become the College of St. Teresa. After a devastating tornado ripped through Rochester in 1883, Mother Alfred Mose and the Sisters of St. Francis proposed building a hospital to aid the sick and injured of southern Minnesota, on the condition that William Mayo and his sons provide the medical service. They agreed, and in 1889, St. Mary's Hospital opened with 27 beds. It expanded continually over the years to meet the needs of the Mayo Clinic practice. Today, it is regarded as the #1 healthcare facility in the United States. The Sisters of St. Francis and the School Sisters of Notre Dame were vital to the success of the Diocese of Winona. The Rochester Franciscans staffed 16 of the 34 schools in the diocese, while the School Sisters of Notre Dame staffed 11. Still, today, these orders continue to make a positive difference in the Diocese of Winona. The Brothers of Christian Schools were invited to open the diocese's first high school in Winona, named after the diocese's first bishop, Cotter High School. The school was dedicated on Thanksgiving Day in 1911, and 2 years later, in September of 1913, St. Mary's College, now St. Mary's University, was established. In 1933, the Christian Brothers took charge of the administration and staffing of the college. Today, the university is regarded as one of the best private universities in the Midwest. The Catholic Church in the Diocese of Winona, from its beginnings to the eve of World War II, was an immigrant church made up of people from many ethnic groups who worked to maintain the traditions of the homeland. Ethnicity figured into many aspects of people's lives: how they worshiped, whom they married, whom they voted for, and their attitudes regarding work, worship, leisure, life, and death. It permeated people's lives and at times became a controlling factor in their beliefs, attitudes, and behavior. The struggle for identity, stability, and community was difficult, but the church in America was vastly different from the church in the old country. Amidst the struggle and conflict, however, the church continued to move forward and maintain a strong presence in southern Minnesota. By 1910, the Diocese of Winona had its second bishop, Patrick Heffron. Bishop Heffron was a man of unusual energy, drive, and determination. He had a vision of what the diocesan church could be, and he tirelessly worked to turn that vision into reality. Calling his priests to realize that they were not ordinary Christians seeking their own salvation, he urged them to know that they were other Christs, with a mission for the salvation of souls. They had to root out their own faults and put themselves right with God. He called upon them for a renewal. It is not enough to root out and destroy, he maintained, drawing on the words of Jeremiah. They had to build and plant. His contributions to education in the diocese were outstanding. He created an educational system in a rural diocese which was the envy of larger, more urban dioceses. The installation of Father Francis Kelly as the third bishop and the only native bishop of Winona took place on May 22, 1928. Bishop Kelly was a quiet and gracious leader who, unlike Bishop Heffron, sought not to create but to maintain the new institutions in the Diocese of Winona. During his leadership, many great scholars arose, vocations to the priesthood were inspired, and many opportunities were created for women to become more involved in the church. Unfortunately, he spent almost a third of his episcopacy in St. Mary Hospital, disabled by a severe stroke, while the Diocese of Winona was administered by a coadjutor bishop, Father Leo Binns. Bishop Binns was bishop of the Diocese of Winona for only 7 short years. He led the diocese through the end of World War II. In 1943, he wrote a pastoral letter to the diocese announcing the building of a new cathedral that would begin after the war. By the end of 1947, construction on a new cathedral was to begin. After Bishop Binns' departure in 1950, Edward Fitzgerald was installed as 4th Bishop of the Diocese of Winona. The post-war atmosphere provided for a growing population, good economic conditions, and an air of confidence and an enthusiasm for development. Bishop Fitzgerald did not disappoint. Bishop Fitzgerald was truly a master builder. During his 19-year tenure as Bishop of Winona, almost every existing church facility was expanded, restored, or replaced. Population growth created the demand for new buildings and even new parishes. The Catholic population of the diocese grew by 57% during this period. Bishop Fitzgerald's time with the diocese was truly fruitful. When Bishop Loris Waters took over the Diocese of Winona on March 13, 1969, it was not a time to build, but a time to restore. Bishop Waters instituted the Renew program, which offered an opportunity for scripture-based faith sharing and mobilized a corps of volunteer leaders. This program was intensely popular and widely successful throughout the diocese. The first 100 years of the Diocese of Winona were times filled with sorrows and joys, failures and successes. With the leadership of extraordinary priests and bishops, the Diocese of Winona has been shaped into what it is today. Looking back, we rejoice in a history deeply rooted in faith. We rejoice in a hope as we give thanks for the blessings our ancestors have provided for us today. And we look forward to the future as we are sent forth in love by Bishop Quinn and our Holy Father, Pope Francis. As we continue to grow in our faith and are strengthened in our Catholic identity, we indeed become a stronger, more visible presence of Christ here in southern Minnesota.